You are now listening to theGrio's Black Podcast Network, Black Culture Amplified.
What's up, Grio family? It's Dr. Christina Greer, politics editor at theGrio and host of The Blackest Questions. I want to tell you about the Signal Awards. 2 of my podcast siblings are nominated. Michael Harriot, host of theGrio Daily. You know I love going on his podcast and talking about all things politics. And Teray, host of Being Black, the 80s. I'm on 2 episodes with Teray, talking about all things hip-hop and the 1980s. Please make sure you hit up the QR code or go to the website and vote at the Signal Awards to make sure they are represented and represented well. Thanks.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Dear Culture, the podcast for, by, and about the culture. I'm your host, Panama Jackson, and today we are talking about Deion Sanders and the Deion Sanders era of college football as the head coach of the University of Colorado Buffaloes football team. And to have this conversation, I'm joined again by 3 of my homies from the Ill-Informed Homies podcast, who were also a part of a conversation that we had back in December, where Deion had just announced that he was leaving Jackson State to head to the University of Colorado. So I'm joined today by Corey Wilson, who is a scholar athlete at LSU, knows a little bit about big-time SEC football. I'm joined today by Frank Williams, who was one of my best friends from Morehouse College, but also played football at Morehouse, and Jabri Griffin, who went to Morehouse with us and also has a law degree from Howard, who played football as well. So this is a jam-packed show full of former athletes and football players, but most importantly, enthusiasts with very strong opinions about this Deion Sanders era of college football. And, you know, week 1, they beat TCU 45-42. TCU played in the championship game last year. They also got blown out, but they were in the FBS championship game. Then they beat Nebraska. They beat Colorado State. But then they ran up against the buzzsaw that is Oregon, who was one of the best teams in the nation, according to their offense and at least according to their offense, right? So let me start here with y'all. What are your thoughts on the Deion era of the University of Colorado, Buffalo, like where we are with Deion Sanders at this point? Corey, let's start with you.
Man, well, that's a tough question. I feel like there's a lot of different components of the Deion era, but I'll start with on the field. As far as Colorado is concerned, I'm kind of underwhelmed. I'm not impressed necessarily with what I've seen on the field. Off the field, I think he's doing it his own way. He's taking a very interesting approach, which I'm not sure is going to work long term. But he is doing it his way, and I applaud him for that. But I'm just not sure that's a good sustainable long term approach. But on the field, I haven't.
Which part is not sustainable long term?
So I think they, because they have focus on other things that are non-football going on at times, I think that that's just not a good idea. That's not the way to do things. There's a lot of other stuff going on. There's like the BET Awards apparently going on the sideline and in the locker room.
I hated that. By the way, the commentator that said that, who he had to feel regret as soon. It was a black dude that said that too. I hated that. He was like, it's like the BET Awards out there.
Hey, I mean, he has a point though. I mean, everyone was there. Cameron, Master P. I mean, Lil Wayne, Offset. Yes, he did have a point.
So you think that part of it is? Am I fair in saying you think that part is doing too much at this point? That's the unsustainable part.
Absolutely.
The cult of celebrity that Deion has brought to Colorado, brought to Boulder for the sake of the...
I think he's trying to bring entertainment value, but at the end of the day, man, this college football is big business, and it's about winning. And winning is the ultimate measure, and that's what's sustainable. And like, trying to bring like the celebrity into it, that's not probably the recipe for long-term success and building a program, which is what their goal should be.
All right, Jabri, what you think?
You want me to answer your question or respond to Corey?
You know what? Respond to Corey and then answer my question. And if you could do it at the same time, then you're a winner.
I see. So, I mean, business is booming. I'll just say that to Corey. Business is booming. You talk about businesses winning, business is booming. We can get to that. We got some numbers on that. We can talk about that and how big Colorado football is right now. But last time I was on, I came in hot. I was feeling like Deion had let me down by leaving Jackson State. I said he stabbed me in the back. And I still don't love how he left Jackson State. And maybe you can have a gripe over that. But if you're talking about in terms of his job performance at Colorado, there's very little to not like. Like, they were 1-11 last year. Like, this is a success by any measure. Like, how can you say it's not? He's not just on ESPN. He's on CNN. He's got 60 minutes segments. Like, he's boosted the revenue not just for the school, but the economy of Colorado. Like, this is big business. Like, the games are nationally televised. Yep. He's got high ratings. The games are ending on the West Coast, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Still the highest rated game of the day.
At 2 o'clock in the morning. We're all up at 2 o'clock in the morning watching these games. Agreed. Yep. Keep going.
Exactly. Coach Prime did the Usher Super Bowl promo announcement. I mean, Coach Prime's everywhere. The only people who are saying this is not a success are haters.
Yeah, maybe he should have been watching film instead of recording that Usher promo. He might could have scored some points. But hey, like, again.
Well, we're going to get to that in a second. Frank, what are your thoughts so far on the Deion era at Colorado?
I mean, I would say so far so good, right? So 4 games in, they're 3-1. I don't think that anyone would have said that Colorado would be 3-1 4 games in this time last year. Nobody would have said that. So at this point, he's had a successful career thus far. Now, we only talking about 4 games in, but I don't know what more else he could have done, in all fairness.
He could be 4-0.
He could be 4-0, but then Alabama's not 4-0. I mean, 4-0, I think 4-0 would not have been realistic by any point. I mean, as a new coach, you're coming in to make incremental changes, and he's gone beyond incremental changes. So,
yeah.
I don't know what else he could have done. He lost to arguably the best offense in the nation. Okay. What else? What else you got on him?
Yeah, like, we all expected them to lose that game. I don't think there's anybody, like, if they had won, we would have all been like, wow, maybe this is real. But they lost, which is what everybody expected to happen.
It's already real. It's already real.
No, what I mean you're right. What I mean by the real thing is, like, I think with week by week, there's this, man, what can Colorado do? Like, we are definitely imposing our Deion Sanders will onto what Colorado can do, right? Like, we are turning Colorado into an extension of Hall of Famer Deion, as if he's out there playing in 1992, right? Like, we are treating the Colorado potential like it's really Deion potential, when the truth is, your team is your team, and he's the coach, right? So he can only go as far as the recruits and everything that he can bring in. And they're doing, and I'm with Jabri and Frank. They're doing great so far. They're 3-1, which I think we all agree. We're probably a little bit surprised at the 3-1. We knew there's a buzzsaw coming. If it wasn't going to be Oregon, it's going to be USC next week. We kind of see these things coming.
Wait, why are you surprised at 3-1? None of these people that play with 1-11. No one who was 1-11 is on this team anymore, right? So to keep referring back to the 1-11 thing, those people are gone. He brought in 85 new people. These people never went 1-11 in their life. All right.
But then the record is 0-0. Then if we can't count on 1-11, we go count 0-0.
All right, cool. So now we need to talk about
3-1 is a success so far. I think everybody would want a 3-1 record.
No, why?
I don't think anybody would want a 3-1 record.
No, that's why. The only thing else could be is 4-0.
This is college football. The turnover is great every single year.
Wait. Hold up. Deion told me he was bringing in some Louis Vuitton luggage. All right, so the Louis here, he bought 85 pieces of Louis. That's a lot of Louis. I mean, if you got that kind of Louis,
all right, hold on.
Did he lie?
Let me ask you. Let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, what, in your estimation, would make him successful then? Does he have to run the table in order for you to consider it a success? Because I don't think anybody. I mean, LSU's not running the table. LSU's one of the, LSU's one of the best teams in the nation.
Right.
So what I'm saying is,
I got an answer for that. So after the first game, he got on the podium and he told me that Shador and Travis Hunter should be number 1 and 2 in the Heisman. That means you got the number 1 and 2 best player in the country. When you got the number 1 and 2 best player in the country and a lot of Louis luggage, 4-0 is the expectation. All right. So he's raising the expectation. Yeah, if you got the 2 best players in the country, 4-0 is the expectation, partner.
I listened to our old episode. Nobody thought that they were going to come in on year 1 and crush the buildings.
So that's because the expectations constantly change, right? So when he got the job in December, I thought he was going to win 3 games because I thought he was going to be coaching them bums that were there last year. He got rid of everybody. Now the expectation goes up. When you talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. If you don't walk the walk, we're gonna be held accountable for it.
But here's the issue with that.
That's irrelevant.
But here's the issue with that. Like, they've played 4 games and they've won 3. They've won 75% of their games thus far. To allege that the walk is not being walked at this point, especially when did you expect them to beat Oregon?
Yeah, Oregon don't have the 2 best players in the country.
No.
There's 2 things that you're illustrating, Corey. One thing is that Deion is going against the grain. Like, Deion is new and different. That's why he's Deion. That's why he's getting these guys. He's getting 4 and 5 star. He had 4 5-star guys at Jackson State.
First off, like, that's also not true.
That's something that's not. Travis Hunter's not 5-star?
That's one guy. Who else he got?
Okay. Shador, his son. I mean, these are 4 5-star college athletes, D1, Power 5 guys, okay, at Jackson State or at Colorado, wherever they are. The other thing you're illustrating is how easy it is to hate. There's only one team that wins every year. People, if you don't go undefeated, then you're a failure in Corey's eyes.
So, Jabri, do you think, where did you expect to see Colorado in the landscape of FBS football at this point?
You know, with them bringing in the new guys, with them bringing in Travis Hunter, with them bringing in his sons, you know, I thought they would have a puncher's chance in most of their games. I thought they could win about half their games. I thought they might get hot, you know, win 5, 6, 7 games, something like that in that area. I think they've exceeded that by getting off to a hot start. I wasn't expecting to win over TCU, and I thought they would split, you know, Colorado State and Nebraska. They won both of those games. They won all 3 of those games, in fact. So, you know, they're a little bit ahead of schedule, and that's what got everybody so excited. Like, wow, they look like they can really hang with teams. So they've exceeded expectations to me.
Time for a quick break. Stay with us. And we're back. Is what Deion is doing at Colorado good for college football? And I know, Bree, you got some numbers and stuff like that. You pulled some stats, I'm guessing. But I'm going to say, I think it is. For the first time in years, we're not talking about Clemson or the SEC. You know, the center of college football is in Boulder, Colorado, which I don't think anybody has said out loud since maybe Rashaan Salam was there. I don't know how long it's been since Colorado has mattered that substantially. Whether you like it or not, whether it looks like the BET Awards, all these people are showing up to be a part of the experience of what's going on in Boulder, which is bringing all, like, the Deion impact is real. The same thing he was doing at Jackson State, he is now doing in Colorado with better facilities. But apparently that cult of personality that Deion has is literally playing out the same way. He is a magnet for attention. I said this to y'all in the group chat, but I really do think he's Don King in this thing, right? Like, he's literally the greatest showman on earth right now in the college football universe, in the sports universe, actually. Like, what show is better than Deion? So, Jabri, good or bad for college football?
You know, you alluded to the numbers. You don't need a math degree for these numbers. Double the attendance, double the ticket prices. That's big numbers, okay? Is it good or bad for football? It's good overall. You know why? Because it's a show. And shows are successful when people watch them. It's not even about whether it's a quality program. Popularity can be carried by a big star, personality, some other gimmick, and we got all that here. We got a little bit of all that. You know, we got a show, people watching for it to be a train wreck, people watching for success, people watching for whatever reasons, but they're watching. They're packing the stadiums, they're charging more, raising the level of attention paid to the games. It helps a team like Colorado State. Colorado State's not going to play a bigger game this year than that game against Colorado. Even a team like Oregon couldn't count the game against Colorado as one of their marquee matchups, but instead they had a marquee matchup. Big deal. Phil Knight was there, head of Nike. Everybody was there. Like, it was a big deal. And this was a game that would have been a snoozer for Oregon. They would have won 42-6 anyway, but nobody would have watched it. But this year they won 42-6 and everybody watched it. So that's good for everybody.
Frank, what about you? What you think?
It's hard to disagree with. I mean, again, Colorado, I mean, coming out of nothing, like nobody cared about them. You know what I mean? Like, I can't say anything about that. Like, literally, like, it can't be anything but good for them. I mean, I know then his use of the portal, I know people don't like that, especially some of the kind of like the old hats don't like that so much, but I mean, he used that really, really well. I mean, I think it's good. I think it's good for players too.
Yeah, I 100%. I didn't realize Jay Feely's son played for Colorado, but now I know he plays for Colorado. Now I know he's the kicker. It's like, oh, look at that. Look who I'm seeing. And now if I'm watching that, it's like, man, I wonder if he's as good as his dad. Sign that man up for an NFL contract. Let's go ahead and get him in the door. Why not? Let's make this a family business. Corey, you probably dissent on this. Please explain why you don't think this is good for college football.
I mean, in the short run, is it good for college football? Maybe, maybe not. Like, sure, it raised the stakes of the Colorado Oregon game, but if that wasn't going on, then the attention would have just been on the Notre Dame Ohio State game, right? College football would have still been going on. People would have still been tuning in. But to address some of Jabri's points, like when you're winning, you know, that can mask a lot of deficiencies in the strategy, right? But I can tell you right now, after they get smoked by 50 points this weekend, yeah, game day ain't showing back up, all right? That's over with, all right? So the $400 ticket, yeah, nobody paid $400 to see a 3-3 team, right? So that's gone, right? So a lot of the stuff you're talking about, that goes away with losing. And they gonna get smoked again this weekend, and nobody's paying $500 to see a 3 or 4 team, right?
But does that matter anymore? Actually, you know what? We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and I want to jump right back into the point that you're making because I actually have a counter to that specific point. And listeners, we want to hear from you too. We have one simple question that we want you to answer in the Spotify poll. Is the hype for the University of Colorado football team led by Deion Sanders, is it over? Yes or no? Make sure you vote. All right, we're back here in Dear Culture talking the Deion era at the University of Colorado and whether or not what he's doing in Colorado is good or bad for college football. And, you know, Corey, you just mentioned that, you know, once they get smoked this weekend by USC, which I think we all expect to happen, in similar fashion, if not worse than what happened at Oregon. But, you know, we expected that. We saw when they had Oregon and USC back-to-back, it was going to be 2 really rough weeks for them. But you said, like, game day's not coming back, all these other things. But, I mean, do they have to? At this point, the hype is, like, everything that you wanted to get, even if it's front-loaded, you got everybody's running around wearing Colorado stuff. There are videos everywhere on social media of older people getting Deion jerseys and Colorado hats and crying. Like, there's, you know, like, the Deion has done the job. Like the hype job is already there. Now, whether people are going to spend that much money for tickets, do they have to? Colorado has far exceeded what they needed to get in order to make this Deion hiring make sense. They are so far ahead of the curve for where they probably needed to be already in 4 weeks.
I mean,
like you said, I mean, the Colorado Oregon game overshadowed Notre Dame and Ohio State, and that's a top 10 matchups. Like, that's a game that everybody presumably, that should have been the game of the week. It should have been the game of the week for everybody. And I didn't even watch it. I saw how it ended. This whole Deion thing has been going, he was at Jackson State for 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. Jackson State for 2 years. This is first year at Colorado. He's been pretty consistent on the hype machine for 3 straight years now. Like, it hasn't really died down. Like, it's been pretty consistent in terms of his ability to continuously draw attention from places. Now, some of that, the work is being done for him by other coaches, right? Like, Jay Norvell didn't have to say anything. I didn't even know who Jay Norvell was before that game, and all of a sudden I knew who he was. But he didn't have to say that. The coach of Oregon decided to drop his pre-recorded freestyle. You know what I'm saying, in the locker room when the cameras were like, he wrote that, right? He was working on that one.
Bars.
He wrote them bars.
Bars.
He was ready for that when the camera was on him. Like, these coaches are continuously providing ammo that Deion gets to just respond to. Like, they're gonna do the work for him, and he just Deion's. He just shows up and just beats Coach Prime. Jabri?
Don't gloss over what those coaches said either, because that's important. Both of them attacked Deion's seriousness and his professionalism. They both went at him like he's not respectful. He doesn't take off his glasses and his hat when he talks to adults, which was like ridiculous. And we could really get into like the black on black hit job that was, and how certain people don't respect certain people from certain sides of the tracks and stuff of that nature. Maybe that's not the conversation for today. And the other conversation, the other coach was like, they're fighting for clicks instead of wins. Again, attacking his seriousness and his professionalism. So, there is some insecurity, there's some fear from these other coaches looking at this, because there's something that they can't recreate. So because they can't recreate it, they have to discredit it. They can never have as fun of an atmosphere as has been seen at Colorado these first 4 weeks.
I don't think they don't want fun. They're here for business.
They do want fun because the recruits want to have fun. 18-year-olds, that's one thing about 18-year-olds, it never changes. They like to have fun.
People keep
so
saying
they're
that.
looking for a fun
true.
environment where they're going to have a good time, have national exposure, they're going to have interviews, they're going to have commercials, they're going to have NIL deals. Like
they got bigger NIL at other places. If you watch if you watch the game Saturday,
if he wasn't a threat, there would have been no comments from the other coaches. If they weren't worried about Deion, there wouldn't have been a clicks versus wins comment. That would not have been there.
Yes, he wasn't keeping it real. What are you talking about?
That would not have been there.
This begs the question. This begs the bigger question. Why does Deion have so many haters at this point? Like, why does it seem like on a week-to-week basis, each one of these coaches that they're playing seem to have something specific, something to say about him?
That's
like,
coaching 101. You have to convince your team that nobody believes in you, and you have to convince your team that the other team thinks they're better than you. And that's all the other coaches were doing. Now, the way they chose to attack it, I thought was remarkable, because, again, you're attacking his professionalism, which in most professions is frowned upon, and it's, fighting words. Like, that's really below the belt most times.
Right.
So
yeah, it's crazy to attack a dude's professionalism who was hanging out with Lil Wayne before the game, before the kickoff.
What about that is unprofessional, though? What about that is unprofessional? Because the question is,
because it's racist. Because it's racist.
How is it racist? If it was Garth Brooks, if Nick Saban was dapping it up with Garth Brooks before the game, he wouldn't do it. They don't do it.
Here's the thing about the whole celebrity thing. Like, it's not just people coming in to see Deion. Some of these people are like legit his friends. And so to that point, if your friends coming to the sideline, depending on who they are, people gonna make a certain situation of it. So yes, if Garth Brooks came to Alabama's sideline, there would be no issue.
Nick Saban don't do celebrities on the sideline. He's a professional. He's not here to handle business. He's not trying to.
People show up on the sidelines all the
time. And they do. And guess where they never show up at? Like, you go to a Lakers game, they got all the celebrities on the sideline. They never show up in the locker room. Yeah, you never seen a professional in the Lakers locker room, even though all of them. I mean, a celebrity in the Lakers locker room.
Well, here's
the
thing about that. Okay, look, the pageantry that he's bringing, nobody's done it like that before. Again, this is the Don King stuff. He's a showman. He understands how to sell a product, and he's selling it. But the question that I have for you, Corey, do you think he's not doing his job? Because it seems like you said yourself, you didn't expect him to be 3-1. So it seems like he's doing his job at this point. Like, his team,
he won a game by 3 points in the first.
No, you can't do that. You don't get to do that.
Wait, I can't provide context to his wins. He went into double overtime with a team that is 3-11 in their last 14 games, right? That he should have smoked, right? He was a heavy favorite in the game, and he went to double overtime to beat them, right? So to act like he's just out here killing it on the field, like he's just dominating great teams, they're not.
Well, I don't know that anybody
That's a
thinks that they're
different question.
dominating. I don't know that that's the
You can't lose-
conversation.
Yeah, you
All right,
can't
back
lose
to your
that
original
bad.
question. Why do people so coaching? You know, coaches, college coaches take coaching very serious. These guys are putting in long days, 15, 16, 17-hour days. They are like in there all day. That you know, and they don't really have time to play around or what they deem is playing around. And they look at Deion, they're like, dude, every time we see you, you chilling. You got time to entertain celebrities. You got time to make videos, shoot commercials. Like we in here on the grind. We sleeping in the office.
But the team is winning by the definition of winning. They
For
are
sure.
3-1.
Yes.
So it seems like that's a bad argument for anybody
It's
to
a
make.
bad argument today. Now it's a Sunday. It's gonna be a better argument.
It
right?
doesn't
When
matter.
They
They
get
still
beat
be
by, when they
3
get
and
beat by
2. They're
50.
still
When they last two games they lose a combined 100-10, then it's gonna seem like a better argument,
Well,
right?
here's the thing. It's not just coaches who are haters of Deion, right? Like there's a national conversation of some people just are reveling in the fact that they lost to Oregon. Like there are people who are happy to see him be what they view as humbled, which I'm not sure you can humble Deion. Like he seems like
But that's the whole piece. That is the entire piece right there. Deion don't come in humble, and that's what people want you to do. Like that's the bottom line. People want you to come in with your head down. Deion throwing middle fingers at everybody.
You don't have to have your
They
head
do.
down. You can be
No, 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 no.
confident. You can
No, no,
just,
no,
like
no, no.
people don't want you to talk. And if you do, you gotta back it up. You can
He's
be
not talking. You act like Deion coming in saying, "Yeah, that coach, I'm gonna smoke him. Yeah, that coach over there, I'm gonna smoke him too." That's not his talk. When has he been the aggressor in any of these 4 games?
So if you're talking about like back and forth between the coaches, he's never been the aggressor. That's not his style. But he is in the locker room saying, "We ain't coming no more. We here. We like." So we make all these.
Technically speaking, according to your own statements about backing things up, I think you could argue he's backed that up. They are here. They are the conversation in college football. They are 3-1. I mean, by most metrics, they are exactly where you would want to be for somebody who is talking we here, we're taking it personal. Hold on, we're taking it personal. We're showing up. We are showing you that this is our house. You come in our house and do these things. Like it seems like he's hitting all the notes that you would want a coach who is your ultimate advocate and defender to hit as a player on a team. Jabri?
Again, this is coaching 101. Telling your team that you can win the game is negative now?
Bro,
You're telling your team, no, we're
again-
not coming. We're not going to be winning these games next year. We can win some of these games this year. You wouldn't tell your team that?
So again, this is a situation where, as Panama just said, well, the way Panama said it, right, and winning is masking a lot of things. This team actually is not playing well. He's talking about all metrics. All metrics, the only metrics you got that he's doing well is winning. But
Score more points than the other team?
wait. If you actually break down, he hasn't scored more points than the other team. So overall, they haven't. But
3 times he has.
Okay, cool. So if you actually break it down, the team is playing terrible in most facets of the game. They're terrible at special teams. They're terrible at defense. They're terrible at the running attack. Like they're actually not that good. So people
You
who
do
actually
realize, I agree with you in a lot of those very specific things, but you do realize the insanity in what you just said. The only place that they're winning is in winning, which is the one thing that counts.
Dude, that's a small term.
No. If they win the rest of their games and are terrible in every facet of the game, but win every game by 1 point, they'd be an 11-1 team who's in the conversation for the national championship. If they win every game by 1 point, by virtue of the fact that the way we view the sport, it is about wins. Time for a quick break. Stay with us.
Thank you so much to the Signal Awards for nominating Being Black the 80s for an award. Such an honor. We worked so hard on this docuseries because the music of the 80s means so much to us. Please help me out and vote for Being Black the 80s, and maybe we can win a Signal Award.
And we're back. Why are non-football coaches hating on what's happening at Deion when it seems by all metrics he's a wonderful motivator? He seems to believe in his guys on his team. He wants the best for them in life. He's putting them in a position to succeed. Like, why wouldn't you want to support somebody who, as a human, seems to be invested in the humanity of his players in such a fashion where he's actually genuinely concerned about providing them an atmosphere that allows them the best opportunity to thrive? Like, why would anybody hate on that?
Because it looks like clown stuff. It looks like clown behavior to them.
Perfect answer, Corey, because we buy into respectability too much. Like we're worried about how it looks. You're saying it looks like clown stuff. It just looks like Deion's personality to me. That's just how he is. That's how he's always been. So like these other coaches are hating because they've been taught that there's one way to do it. You have to be buttoned up and respectable, and your team has to wear a suit and tie when they travel, and all these things that matter, that quote unquote matter. Deion's not doing a lot of them. He's skipping that. He's not for all the respectability. Okay, he's going to be Coach Prime. Okay, and Coach Prime is different than tradition and what people have been taught. So when they see somebody not doing it, they're like, he's not doing it right. He's not doing the thing that I'm doing.
Let's and we haven't really done this. Frank has said the word out loud once, but let's go ahead and throw the big racism bomb in here. Like, how much of this is a black man out here doing it his way, and he, like, you cannot control him. And I do think people don't like to see a black man win on his own terms. That's why I keep calling him Don King right now. Like, people hated that.
Yeah, I don't think it's just him being black. I think it's being black and Deion, right? Like, what I mean? It's other black coaches that's successful. Old boy Notre Dame, he
Tons
doing
of
his
them.
thing.
There were four undefeated black coaches at the beginning of Saturday morning.
But it's being black and being Deion, which is more stereotypical if we go say that, right? Like Deion is who we are as black men by and large as a stereotype. That's who we are. You know what I mean? So it's not just being black, it's being real black. That's the issue. Not just your skin tone. It's you strutting, it's you having something to say when somebody come at you. Not again, walking with your head up high. It's Deion being Deion, not just being black.
Yep. And the other coaches were taught that in order to be black and a head coach, you had to be a certain non-threatening way. And when they see somebody else not doing that, they can't help but gatekeep. Like it's messed up. It's the system, and we buy into it.
Is it like or is it just like coaches feel like, look, man, as a coach, we should be teaching discipline. We got all these principles we should be teaching. We got like certain ways we should do things. It shouldn't be a free.
The
It shouldn't be.
assumption
It
is
shouldn't
that's
be
not
relaxed.
happening, though.
Those
That's a bad,
things,
yeah.
those things do not apply to Deion. Like no one's saying that about Deion's team. Those principles that you just brought up, no one's saying that his team isn't like that.
I mean, so like for instance, Shador is on the field warming up with an AP on. Right, at other schools, yeah, you can't rock your AP during your warm ups, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? So to act like those things aren't going on, sure they are, right? And so this is a lot more relaxed, and you don't get to rock your iced out AP during warm ups at other schools.
Okay, but I also think that Shador is a special case. Like I agree. Like I agree to a point. Like I have no problem with what they're out there doing. Like he's out there. He don't have no pads on. He don't got nothing on. He's out there early on walking on the field. Like they're walking on the field, but it ain't harming anybody, right? None of that stuff is harming a single soul. He's literally minding his business, getting his little warm-ups on, doing whatever. But you're talking about one person on a team full of people that's doing that. And the one that the cameras are gonna follow. Let's be real. Like
He's
some
the
of this is
quarterback.
it's for show, right? Like they're following him because he's Deion's son. He's the quarterback. He's flashy, when he gets the opportunity and he can actually play. He's a good player. Like, he's number 2 in the show that is Colorado right now. Right. So, that's just how it's going to work. All right. We're going to take one final break. We come back. I have one final question about the whole the Deion era here at Colorado, here on Dear Culture. And we're back. Here's my question. At this point, Colorado's 3-1. What do you expect for the rest of this season for Colorado? Like, where do you see this season ending for them? And just to add on to that, where do you see the hype machine by the time this season is over? At least for this season for Colorado. Frank, let's start with you.
So I'm looking at their schedule, and the Pac-12, not the Pac-12 that they used to be. I think they got an uphill battle, honestly. Like, I believe in Deion, and I want to say he can squeak out 3 games, but it's going to be a rough 3 games. I'm going to say that. For him to get to that 6th game, it's not going to be easy at all. But at the same time, I expect him to get some scrappy wins the way he got his first 3. So I think he'll still get those 3 games in order to be bowl eligible. But I think it's going to be rough.
All right, Corey, what you think?
My expectations for them for the rest of the season, man, is to go. So they got 8 games left. Yeah, at least like 7-1. I mean, they got the 2 best players in college football and the Louis luggage. Today, you can't go 3-5 with that. They gotta go 7-1, whatever. Yeah. If I was betting, I'd bet that they probably win 2 more games. But my expectation, based on all they got, you know what I'm saying, is 7-1. Will the hype be there at the end of the season? The answer is absolutely not, right? Like, I don't care who is around it. No one cares about a 6-16, right? They just don't. They're gonna be 50 teams better than 6-6. No one cares. I don't care who they get out there coaching and what kind of antics they pull, who performing at halftime, Rick Ross. I don't care. They nobody like the hype is gonna go away. So that's the thing about college football. If you don't win, it's gonna dry up quick.
Fair enough. Jabri, what you got?
So I pulled up the schedule, and they have 4 games remaining against ranked opponents. I think maybe they could steal one. And they got a couple of cupcakes, not exactly cupcakes to Colorado, but a couple of games they should win in Arizona State and Stanford. So I see them around 6-6, getting a bowl game. That bowl game is going to be a party. It don't matter which bowl it is. It's going to turn into the primetime bowl. Doesn't matter if they're 6-6 or whatever. There's going to be a huge halftime performance from one of Deion's friends. There's going to be people on the sidelines. It's going to be a party. Everyone's going to see it. It's going to be nationally televised. The recruits are going to love it, and it's going to lead into the hype for next year, which is going to be there. It is going to be there because he's going to have some people. Some people are going to come. Build it, and they will come. They will be coming to Colorado.
They're going to be playing in the Toilet Tissue Bowl on December 19th, bro. Nobody's watching that.
And it's going to be the most lit toilet tissue bowl there's ever been.
Toilet tissue bowl of all time. I hope they get to 6 wins. I'll say that. I'm hoping they get to. I'm sure college football hopes they get to a bowl game. I'm sure whatever bowl game gets them hopes that they get the Deion. Hope they get to pull the Deion team into their bowl game because they know that that's guaranteed eyeballs on a bowl game that nobody else would be watching except for the family members of the people on the field. I do think the hype machine will probably die down a bit, but you never know. I mean, again, I think these coaches keep providing ammunition for Deion to just go be Deion, and the way it seems to have been working out for him, things just end up being unnecessarily exciting and dramatic for no reason, and that draws us all in. So, perhaps when Colorado plays Utah and it's one of those, they're doing this one for all of us, and we all have to argue about who all of us is again. We'll have a new national conversation. All right, we'll have to pull this up. We'll have to do this again at the end of the season to see where Colorado ends up, what predictions have come true, like what is true about the hype and everything. So I look forward to doing this conversation one more time at the end of the season to kind of talk about the first year of the Deion era as a Power 5 football coach. So thank you all for joining me for this conversation. Appreciate you, Corey, Jabri, Frank, for being here talking Deion. We will do this again. And appreciate y'all. We'll return back and we'll see if we can get Lil Wayne to lead us out to the beginning of Dear Culture next time.
And thank you to everybody for listening to Dear Culture, which is an original podcast of the theGrio Black Podcast Network. It is produced by Sasha Armstrong, edited by Jeff Trudeau, and Regina Griffin is our director of podcasts. Again, my name is Panama Jackson. Thank you for listening. Have a black one.
What's up, Grio family? It's Dr. Christina Greer, politics editor at theGrio and host of The Blackest Questions. I want to tell you about the Signal Awards. 2 of my podcast siblings are nominated. Michael Harriot, host of theGrio Daily. I love going on his podcast and talking about all things politics. And Teray, host of Being Black, the 80s. I'm on 2 episodes with Teray, talking about all things hip-hop and the 1980s. Please make sure you hit up the QR code or go to the website and vote at the Signal Awards to make sure they are represented and represented well. Thanks.
You are now listening to theGrio's Black Podcast Network, Black culture amplified.